APEC security operations trial latest mapping products. Justice crew joined city residents Walk for Life. And another mass wedding as couples say I do.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thank you for joining me with Sunday's news. The latest products in geospatial mapping and surveying will guide security operational planning in preparation for APEC 2018. Recent images captured with the state-of-the-art equipment are most important for APEC security operations. Sir Charles Lepani, chair for APEC 2018, said the equipment and assistance to the National Mapping Bureau from the Australian government couldn't have come at a better time.
The PNG Mapping Bureau will now produce the latest maps, upgrading its current maps from 10 years ago. This is a key part for security preparations leading to APEC 2018, as it allows the real-time imaging in Port Moresby and parts of Central.
Part of our preparations for, particularly on security side, for next year's hosting of APEC, geospatial mapping is something that's very critical to the security requirements for our police and defence forces, and particularly our partners who are here helping us, Australian Defence Force personnel, ADF, and also AFP, Australian Federal Police, and New Zealanders and Americans, as well as Indonesians that will come on board very shortly. So it is very critical that we have the facility as well as the equipment to do that level of intelligence and security.
But come after APEC, Sir Charles says it can be used for census and policy development.
Planning purposes, where infrastructure and services should be delivered, and where there are adequate locations that have already got facilities, then you don't need to go there or build another facility. Distribution issues will help us a lot with government delivery of services. So it is a very, very significant and wonderful addition to our efforts for the country's development. But
Assistant Director of the National Mapping Bureau, Verilyn Bobola, says the equipment has enabled the Bureau to collect new and essential data, which has enhanced the capabilities.
They're big, A0 size. This is probably A2. A0 would be that other imagery over there. And the way the server is set up, it's all set up and hooked up, mounted on a server. So you can basically hit print button from one of the setup here, and it goes straight to the printer through the. We don't have a communication cable, but we're now using Wi-Fi, wireless. So it just picks up and signals to the server and the printer, and it prints. So all the.
Meanwhile, PNG Defence Force Chief of Operation, Colonel Siale Diro, says the mapping system provides the ability to plan ahead for security during APEC 2018.
To plan and to implement safety and security. It is a core capability that will drive our planning and will drive our support, the PNGDF in particular, to the police and the other agencies involved with safety and security for APEC.
The National Mapping Bureau, with the assistance of the Australian Defence Force and the Royal Australian Air Force, recently concluded a 4-day mapping exercise using the state-of-the-art mapping and surveying equipment. They successfully mapped the entire city of Port Moresby and parts of Central Province. The exercise comes under the Special Mapping Project specifically for APEC preparations.
To plan and to implement safety and security. It is a core capability that will drive our planning and will drive our support, the PNGDF in particular, to the police and the other agencies involved with safety and security for APEC.
Adelaide Turks, Kari National, EMTV News.
A mass wedding ceremony was conducted for 6 couples in Port Moresby today. All 6 couples turned up looking bright and beautiful for the one occasion where they publicly announced their vows and their love for each other.
Getting married is a time of excitement for the bride, the groom, their families and friends. It is also an important event that recognizes the marriage of a man and woman.
Time note this morning, only by taking, all by coming up, and the music and the onion. Now you play too, or you play Sanapian, no one sit down.
Mass marriage ceremonies are becoming common in Papua New Guinea. Pastor Benjamin and his team have been traveling around the country and are officiating in similar ceremonies.
This promise where people are by walking, or this 6 couples by walking on each side of the day.
Legalized their marriage relationship today. It is a very important event in the lives of any young person who decides to get married and stay together with that one wife, one husband throughout their lifetime.
Naime and Emily Verawe were one of the 6 couples that tied the knot today.
Feeling blood today, it's like I'm feeling feeling so excited and hard to express. Me just have a master this day where me play every mess wedding la church me play here la gardens. Thank you.
So 2 weeks meeting me play in gym, the family life, family evangelistic meeting. Pastor belum time contact him na. Plus message semua represent him. It's really nice. I mean can me play. I mean also molding me play, shape me play. How we play kalau what mo family me play.
Thakla Gunga, National EMTV News.
Madang residents in Port Moresby hosted their provincial day at Port Moresby's Constitutional Park yesterday. The event not only showcased diverse cultures and tradition, but it was also an opportunity to pass on history lessons to the next generation.
While other provinces have had the chance to celebrating their provincial day, yesterday it was Madang's time to shine. Gathering in small tribes at the Constitution Park, a long-time resident of Port Moresby, Kuri Kaboenga from Madang, who lived in Port Moresby for 40 years, says hosting such events is one way of exposing the unique cultures and traditions.
Deblo Madang na mi plol kita province lo Madang mi play come one time to celebrate in this la Madang day blo mi play long here long Port Moresby.
UPNG students from Madang joined their respective traditional Sinsin groups.
No, sa domi ami ama maslo la event where mi plasa celebrating mo at least mi plasa making all university second organizing this la event to mi plasa celebrating day lo mi plasa kasi special cultural one me ways.
Mi dress mi dress was beginning blood chief o kukura ya au mi dress na mi ba lead group. Time mi bla go fight one something mi ba go pass mi bla ba mi ba lead mall said leader
thing ma one black and province kan su throughout lo pomoni gine mo se ma medeng sa sam black and beautification na sam black and identity culture sa staff. So now mi bla kam mi bla promoting ma mi bla mana islanders but na promoting medeng se mon province mi bla
mi play kisim also feast where mi play come one time, boom one time as Manam Islanders. Mi play celebrating this occasion, yeah.
Godwin Eki, National EMTV News.
Air New Guinea has resumed its focus services into Vanimo Airport in West Sepik Province. After the completion of runway works by the National Airports Corporation, jet services resumed with Focus 70 and the latest with 100 on Tuesday this week. With the new schedule effective as of October 29, there will be 3 weekly Focus 70 flights on Tuesdays, Thursdays and Sundays. Monday and Friday services will continue to be operated by Link PNG-8 aircraft. aircraft. Air Niugini plans to upgrade to 5 weekly flights. National EMTV News continues after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. A top-table exercise meeting was completed this week between the Joint Security Task Force and the Australian Defence Force in preparation for APEC 2018. The exercises were conducted for land, air and sea elements to identify areas they will need assistance with.
A top-table exercise that had Royal PNG Police Constabulary, PNG Defence Force, Australian Federal Police and their Defence Force working together to better security strategies for APEC 2018.
Tabletop exercise. This is the second tabletop exercise that we have concluded. It emanates from, if you can recall, our 8 security partners working group meeting resolution, in which the security partners requested this type of exercise to take place.
The exercises included maritime, air and land elements.
3 basic types of scenarios that were tested. A maritime scenario where we had a suspicious craft that was entering the restricted area or approaching the restricted area. An air scenario of suspicious aircraft being where they shouldn't be, and a counter-terrorist scenario as well.
It also allowed the joint security forces to see where they needed assistance from the Australian Defence Force and other security partners.
And the focus therein was on command and control, coordination, communications, how we can facilitate our joint agency effort, both internally and accommodating and effecting the support provided by our security partners.
Major General Paul McCallan said the Australian Defence Force was always pleased to be a part of such exercises to see where they can best assist.
Understanding of the major difficulties that go with providing security effects to such a big undertaking in a difficult security environment. I am really confident that the people who have attended today have brought exactly the right attitudes and approaches, and that there is significant progress being made in understanding all of the issues and building an organisation that should be able to deliver a very safe and effective APEC leaders meeting.
The first of the upcoming APEC 2018 meetings will be in December this year, leading up to the Leaders Summit in November 2018. Adelaide Sirks Kari, National EMTV News.
Moresby South electorate came alive this morning with sound, exercise and colour. The NCD Governor's Walk for Life event in collaboration with 4G smartphone brand Mint held a successful colour walk. Hundreds of Port Moresby residents who attended the event were also treated to a live performance by the Justice crew.
Hundreds attended the Walk for Life event this morning at the Sir Hubert Murray Stadium. Though it was the usual crowd, this morning's event was a unique occasion. It was the Mint Colour Walk that left the roads leading to the Stanley Esplanade and Ellerbridge Ring Road in dust of multiple colours, and Port Moresby residents who were powdered in colour as well. Though the walk started off late, that left everyone in a rather irritable mood. Once they reached the colour booths, it was all smiles and laughter. You could almost taste the rainbow. Among other NCD residents, the walk was attended by the patriot of the Walk for Life, NCD Governor Paus Pakop, and Moresby South member Justin Chichenko.
I walk with about 3,000 to 5,000 people every Sunday, and this is just an example of it. But more people are coming today because of this event, and they're going to see Justice crew from Australia, so more young people are excited to come. And I'm happy that, you know, if you look around the city now, it's becoming a way of life already. People are doing their own work, they are taking their own time, so it's becoming a behavior for our city, and I'm very confident that this program will be successful. But you know, the important message too is that when your body is healthy, fit and well, your mind grows. start to think about positive things and want to change for the better.
It was something out of the ordinary for a normal Sunday morning in the city. Left and city residents all in high spirits, reflecting the bright colors thrown on them. And as promised, the day did not end without a live performance by the international urban pop group Justice Crew.
This is the best life. This is the best. Let's go. This is the best life.
Merlin Diaukatam, National EMTV News.
Over to the region, eye care specialists in the Pacific have set up mobile tents for ophthalmologists in order to reach the most isolated and vulnerable areas. Many have been blind for months before they seek help. This report from the Fred Hollows Foundation in Fiji.
Michael from New Zealand, how are you? Latileta Ranadi was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes 3 years ago. Shortly after that, her leg was amputated. But it's her vision that's worried her most. How long have you been not able to see?
Since last year.
A whole year?
Yeah.
But that's all changed now, and she can see her children once again.
I'm very happy they came to Nandi, yeah, so that we can come and operation our eyes so that we can see.
This is the team she visited, experts who do eye checks under the shade of a tarpaulin. And for the more complex procedures, a mobile clinic.
With the remote villages, what happens is that people have food, but they don't have money. They don't have $2 for the bus fare to come to the hospital.
And as many have a fear of hospitals, this provides a more relaxed setting. It's only about 15 metres long, but has enough space for laser treatment, a waiting room, and even a surgical theatre, a specialist unit made possible by donations from Kiwis. The need is great, and it's no longer just the adult population with sight complications from diabetes.
Clinicians tell me that sometimes they're seeing teenagers with diabetes. This is a disease now that's affecting the working population of the islands.
The Fred Hollows Foundation's Pacific Eye Institute in Suva is the headquarters for eye care in the Pacific. It's not only a treatment centre, but a training ground for people like Dr. Castle Johnson, who's originally from Vanuatu.
They don't only support the eye care, but they also look into training human resource, and they have done that for doctors, they have done that for nurses.
But making sure communities understand the risks remains the big challenge.
Most of the patients are presenting very late, mainly because they are not aware that diabetes can cause vision loss or blindness.
Then there's the problem of modifying behaviour. Diabetic Ali Mudin is a classic example. So what did he eat last night?
I had a burger and a piece of chicken and chips. French fries.
And are you aware that that type of food is bad for you?
Actually, yeah.
Ali knows his habits are wrong, but is changing them with the help of this specialist team.
More stories making headlines overseas when we return. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. A new report has found air pollution is causing the deaths of 9 million people around the world every year.
By the Lancet Commission found pollution contributes to 16% of all deaths worldwide, killing 3 times more people than AIDS, tuberculosis and malaria combined, and 15 times more than from all wars and other forms of violence. 92% of those deaths occurred in low and middle income countries, with India the worst affected.
New Zealand's Prime Minister-elect Jacinda Ardern says capitalism has been a blatant failure for many New Zealanders. Her comments echoed those of her coalition partner Winston Peters when he said capitalism has lost its human face. The newly elected Prime Minister gave an interview on what she plans to do going forward.
A new government, a new attitude and a new relationship with capitalism.
Has it failed our people in recent times? Yes.
How can you claim that you've been successful when you have growth, roughly 3%, but you've got the worst homelessness in the developed world?
The incoming Prime Minister plans to introduce a new law to measure child poverty and set targets for overcoming it, with progress reported publicly every year. Why? Because, she says, capitalism hasn't worked for those children in recent years.
If you have hundreds of thousands of children living in homes without enough to survive, that's a blatant failure. What else could you describe it as?
Jacinda Ardern's comments have a familiar ring to them.
Far too many New Zealanders have come to view today's capitalism not as their friend but as their foe. And they are not all wrong. That is why we believe that capitalism must regain its responsible, its human face.
Their full deal and policy arrangement will be announced on Tuesday. But Ardern did share some of her thinking. Expect a rise in the minimum wage, currently at $15.75. Labor wants $16.50. Winston Peters wants around $20.
$16.50 is our first step. We'll look to move beyond that over time.
And expect dramatic changes to housing. Labor wants 100,000 affordable homes built over 10 years.
Our view that we absolutely maintain is that we're bringing on stream a section of the housing market that is undersupplied.
There will be some sticky points though, particularly in irrigation, where Labor has hinted it will put an end to the big government subsidies the industry is used to. It could also be the end of offshore oil drilling, with Ardern signalling she may allow one more tender process for block exploration permits.
It is a process for New Zealand to acknowledge that our future is not in fossil fuels.
So you're going to can them?
We will not be doing that in a jarring way.
Jacinda Ardern steering the country in a new direction, putting the vulnerable and the environment in the front seat.
There are calls to stop passengers being allowed to check in laptops on international flights. The Federal Aviation Administration is concerned their batteries could explode if stored near some toiletries.
The FAA has long been worried about the danger of lithium-ion batteries in the cargo hold of a plane, as this test video shows. But now, new tests found that potential danger could extend to even a single lithium-ion battery in a large device like a laptop. Turns out, if that kind of battery in a checked bag overheats next to an aerosol or nail polish remover or even rubbing alcohol, it can spark an uncontrollable, catastrophic fire that burns so hot some airliners couldn't put it out. In one test, an 8-ounce aerosol can of dry shampoo was strapped to an overheated laptop. It exploded in 40 seconds.
A fire on board is the worst thing that possibly could happen to any aircraft.
Ross Amer, CEO of Aero Consulting Experts, is a former airline captain.
Having seen the devastation that these batteries could cause, I think every airline pilot is thinking about it, and they would welcome this decision by FAA.
Earlier this year, the U.S. and the U.K. temporarily banned large electronic devices from carry-on luggage on flights from 10 airports due to security concerns and the threat of a laptop bomb.
Donald Trump has raised concerns in the United Kingdom by linking a rise in crime there to Islamic terror. British politicians have responded, saying the statement is inflammatory and ignorant, and its Labour leader called the U.S. president a moron.
Despite America's own deep problems within its society, it's this week's crime figures from England and Wales that prompted Donald Trump to make his latest provocative pronouncement. Earlier today he tweeted, "Just out report, United Kingdom crime rises 13% annually amid spread of radical Islamic terror. Not good. We must keep America safe." This is what President Trump must have been watching when he woke up, a right-wing cable news channel.
English and Welsh police report a massive rise in crimes,
which reported on the crime figures under the banner of migrant crisis. 5 minutes later, Donald Trump was sending his tweet, quoting what was on screen. British politicians fired their tweets back. Chair of the Home Affairs Committee, Yvette Cooper, said, "Hate crime in UK up 29%, sadly encouraged by ignorant tweets like this. Not good, POTUS." Liberal Democrat Joe Swinson said, "Stop misleading and spreading fear. Hate crime is up and it is fuelled by the kind of populist xenophobia you peddle." With Labour's Deputy Leader Tom Watson saying, "Officer, I'd like to report a hate crime." Clearly, the President wants to make an impact, but in fact, the official figures only reflect a rise in overall crime. But it's not the first time President Trump has used terror attacks in Britain to justify his own agenda. In the wake of the London Bridge attack in June, he criticised the London Mayor Sadiq Khan for saying there was no reason to be alarmed. Then, after the Parsons Green bomb in September, he suggested the attacker had been known to police, something described by the government here as unhelpful. Throughout the day, the government has clearly been wary of getting drawn into a row with Donald Trump about linking terrorism with overall crime figures. But in a statement issued earlier this evening, a spokesperson simply says it is important to ensure accuracy when reporting on crime figures, which could be seen to be politely suggesting that the president got his facts wrong. When it comes to quoting crime statistics, President Trump might be advised to tread carefully. America's homicide rate was recently assessed as 7 times higher than other high-income countries.
And back home, the local spiritual assembly of the Baha'is of Port Moresby gathered today to mark the 200th birth anniversary of Baha'u'llah, prophet founder of the Baha'i faith. Hundreds of people gathered at the Baha'i property at North Waigani to celebrate the occasion.
The celebrations began with traditional dances from around the country. Then followed by devotions and the reading of the message from the Supreme Body, the Universal House of Justice.
Of a boundless love for humanity, he bore willfully, with radiance and forbearance, and with compassion for his tormentors.
The stories of the life of Baha'u'llah was read, after which a video on the life of Baha'u'llah, his teachings, was displayed. 60,000 Baha'is in over 400 localities around Papua New Guinea are also celebrating this day, in which they join 6 million Baha'is worldwide in some 100,000 localities. The key teaching of the Baha'i faith is unity and the oneness of mankind.
He was born in 1817. And now 2017 marks 200 years of the prophet founder of the Baha'i faith, Baha'u'llah. Baha'u'llah in English means the glory of God.
The Governor General of Papua New Guinea, Grand Chief Sir Bob Bofeng Dadaya, wished the Papua New Guinea Baha'i community for this special event. He praised the Baha'i community's tireless efforts in helping shape and build peaceful communities, and encouraged the Baha'is to further their activities in the spirit of unity in diversity.
Both spiritually and materially, the religion also needs new teachings to help mankind to progress in this age. So as Baha'u'llah has brought these teachings of the love and unity to prevail to bring about oneness of humankind.
Baha'u'llah's vision of humanity as one people and the earth as common homeland inspires the dual process of individual and collective transformation through selfless acts of service to society. The global festivities involving people of thousands of ethnic backgrounds is demonstrative of a key message of Baha'u'llah's life and teachings, that a special time has arrived for the entire human race as it gradually moves from one stage of collective adolescence to one of maturity and wholeness. Shane Saroya, National EMTV News.
Trukai Sports is next. We'll have news on bowling, netball and rugby. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The Marbarracks Bowling Club reopened the newly renovated club on Friday. The bowling club was opened by executives of Sports Foundation.
Defence Bowling Club is one of the oldest in the country and was under construction for the past few months. The club has produced great bowlers over the years, including first Commonwealth Games gold medal winner Gewatau. They were all present at the reopening of the iconic building. Sports Foundation Executive Director Peter Tamalili Jr. spoke highly of the club, saying Sports Foundation is happy to be working with the Papua New Guinea Defence Force.
Through the foundation and through the partnership, we are able to maintain that and bring a bit of new energy into the facility, but we continue the legacy of its first establishment as a first bowling entity or precinct in the country.
A cheque of 10,000 kina was presented to Brigadier General Gilbert Toropo to help the club with events they have planned.
Very much Executive Director Chamalili for your address. We'd also like to acknowledge the presence of Lieutenant Colonel.
Brigadier General Gilbert Toropo thanks Sports Foundation for their continuous support to the Defence Bowling Club.
In the Defence Force, we want to continue to maintain this facility, and I want to take this opportunity to thank the Sports Foundation for partnering with the PNG Defence Force to rehabilitate this facility, because sports and fitness is one of the PNG Defence Force core ethics.
Sports Foundation Chairman Graham Osborne, on behalf of Prime Minister and Minister for Sports Peter O'Neill, assured PNG Defence Force they will upgrade the other fields in Murray Barracks.
The Sports Foundation is committed to the Defence Force. Don't you worry about that, sir. It's committed to the Defence Force. Because you came good for us when we were looking for a building, when we were building Taram Leisure Centre, and we needed a building so that the athletes could come through. And then after that was finished, we needed a building where the people who were aspiring to be athletes could still come through. And that's what's happening down there. The bowling club and other things to do. Don't worry, I'll guarantee you we'll get this field fixed. Don't worry about that.
Elijah Levette, National EMTV Sports.
An exhibition event for men's and women's netball competition was held yesterday in Port Moresby to encourage men to start taking part in netball. President of PNG Men's Netball Association, Edem Parker, says while men in 10 other Pacific Island countries are playing the game, it's time to get PNG involved.
An alternative sport to encourage men to participate is now possible with PNG Men's Netball Association. Yesterday's game between the men's and women's netball team was aimed at encouraging men to take part in a sport that has always been dominated by women.
It didn't really matter whether it was men or the women. The game is the game. No other sport can actually have a game where the men can go on court from a physical point of view and compete against the women on an even platform.
Adam, who has 30 years experience in men's netball, says while netball is stereotyped to be a women's sport, it's about time PNG men get to start playing women's sports and diversify.
Men's and mixed netball is a little bit different than the traditional women's netball, just purely and simply because of the men's physicality, but also too, you saw there, it's a lot faster. The mixed game is a lot smarter, and yeah, mixed game's more targeted for the nationals that are getting past that, but still want to play.
He says while it is new in PNG, 10 other Pacific Island countries have played men's netball for a decade, while Fiji has played it for 20 years.
Bonus with the Australian men's and mixed nationals or anything is, PNG has the potential of sending off 133 athletes for one sport. No other sport can do that. So yeah, it just needs to grow, and it takes a lot of time and a lot of energy and a lot of commitment.
PNG Men's Netball Association will look into hosting more of this event in the future to encourage more men and boys to participate and challenge their female counterparts. Godwin Eki, National EMTV Sports.
The Australian Wallabies have avoided an all-black whitewash, beating New Zealand 23 points to 18 in Brisbane. The Australians haven't beaten the All Blacks since 2015, running 3 tries to 2.
The Bledisloe Cup is already gone, but their 7-game losing streak against the All Blacks ended last night. Wearing the first Indigenous jersey by any Australian team, Kurtley Beale inspired the 23-18 victory at Suncorp Stadium.
Hopefully a lot of kids saw that game tonight, and we see a lot of Indigenous kids to be able to come out and represent the Wallabies one day.
Israel Folau will face the Barbarians in Sydney this weekend, but will sit out the spring tour to Japan and the UK.
Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. To Rugby League, Australian Kangaroos captain Cameron Smith says Australia is embracing the pressure ahead of the Rugby League World Cup.
Kangaroos are at short odds to win the tournament that begins with Australia facing England on Friday.
We're not hiding the fact that we'd love to win this World Cup on home turf. You know, it's been a long time since we've had the opportunity to play a World Cup in front of our home fans, and we want to win it for sure.
We want to play well and we want to start well, so whether we win or not is not as important as to how we play.
EMTV will telecast the Rugby League World Cup live and free starting Friday 27th October. To football, Sydney FC clawed back from the brink of defeat to draw with the Wanderers in last night's derby in Allianz Stadium.
The Sky Blues trailed 2-0 when a foul on David Carney in the box gave the A-League champions a sniff.
And now the Sky Blues fans are up and about. They're back in it.
Josh Belanti's second half strike clinched a 2-2 draw. Melbourne City is alone on top of the ladder after beating Wellington 1-0 at Amy Park. Socceroos star Aaron Moy has steeled Huddersfield to the biggest win of their Premier League return. Moy starred as the Terriers upset the previously unbeaten Manchester United 2-1. Leaders Manchester City continued their goal blitz, crushing Burnley 3-0. Champions Chelsea downed Watford 4-2 to stay within 9 points of top spot.
To horse racing, the Caulfield Cup, one of the great lead-up races to next month's Melbourne Cup, ran yesterday with a strong Kiwi presence in the $3 million race.
Run over 2,400 metres, it was expat Kiwi jockey Corey Parrott who prevailed on 43-1 outsider Boom Time.
Boom Time has won the Caulfield Cup.
I'd just like to thank everyone out there that's supported my wife, my daughter.
Parrish made the move to Australia 5 years ago and is now based in Victoria.
And that ends Trukai Sports. The weather details for the next 24 hours after the break.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Weather forecast for tonight in the southern region. Mostly fine in Port Moresby, Popondetta and Alotau. Showers in Daru and a shower or two in Kerema. In the Momasa region, mostly fine in Lae and Medang and a shower or two in Wewak and Vanimore. In the New Guinea Islands region, fine weather in all centres. And in the Highlands region, brief showers then morning fog in all centres.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
And that's the way it is this Sunday, the 22nd of October 2017. From the entire news team, a pleasant viewing. Good night.